Okay. Just getting things configured here. Looks like we are streaming. Rondi, how do you get on so quickly, my friend? Just like that. I start streaming and there you are. It's almost instantaneous. Very impressive. Okay, we are back in the 3D cockpit today. I think I've fixed the problem we had with Remote Flight Cockpit HD. I think it was a bad Wi-Fi connection, and have managed to switch to another. I've managed to switch to another. Well, I'll tell you how I did it in a second. Right now, I got to figure out why we're not showing up here on ForeFlight. You squash one bug and another one creeps its head up. It has us here in Florida, so it is not. I wonder what it's connecting to. Let's see. It's connected to the wrong Wi-Fi connection. That's why. We want to connect to this one. Now it should be working. Okay, so if you watched yesterday's flight, it was pure comedy. It was system failure day. Nothing in the sim seemed to be working the way it should work. And the primary culprit was the Remote Flight Cockpit HD here, the 6-pack, which was having an intermittent connection, which I've been having for some time. I couldn't figure out what the problem was. The problem was a bad Wi-Fi connection. So I configured the PC in here to broadcast, which actually has an Ethernet connection. I configured it to broadcast as a Wi-Fi hotspot, and now we seem to be having a nice solid connection there. So that's good. Hello, Taxi. Good to see you. Yeah, forgotten. You're there. You're right in the back. We're going to try to do this in 2 flights today. We're going to go up to Yakima, and then probably take a lunch break. That's only going to be about 30 minutes. And then if I have time after lunch, I'm going to do the next 90 minutes or 90 nautical miles to Seattle, hello, which will let us go into that Bravo airspace. And if not, then I'll come back after probably 3:30 or 4 o'clock Eastern Time U.S. and make that flight. I may do it in this cockpit. I may do it in VR. I haven't decided yet. So that's what we're doing. So we're on the ground in Pendleton, which is where we stopped yesterday, and we'll just start making things happen. We are logged into PilotEdge, so Yakima is a Class Delta airspace that is towered in PilotEdge, so we will be talking to them. I also have been troubleshooting a little bit the audio issues. You know, the environmental noise is so loud in this thing, the wind noise. I can't figure out how to turn on the noise canceling switch without clicking on it. And of course, I've deleted all those parts of the cockpit, so I can't do that very easily. But the bottom line is I'll just look for feedback if the audio is okay. And I think some of it is because the FMOD sounds that are in this Alabeo are meant to be used in stereo, and this is a mono headset, and that might be part of the problem. All right, well, let's see. Let's do what we're supposed to do. Mixture. Order. Beacon light on. Feet on the brakes. Masters. Test the fuel pump. Seems to be working. Feet on the brakes. Oh. Let's switch the proper tank. There we go. All right. Parking brake on. Okay. And let's throttle her back to about 10,000 or 1,000. Yeah, we're getting nice solid connection to a remote flight server. That is good. Avionics. Garmin's up, VOR is working. You can hear the avionics spinning up. Awfully loud. Maybe I need to turn down the cockpit sounds a little bit. That's part of the problem. We'll play with that in a second. Alright, self-test is good. Let's just fix those real quick and see if that makes any difference. Sound, aircraft interior. Let's turn that down to about halfway. Oh, that helps a little bit. Okay. The problem is I don't hear exactly what you guys hear, so I'm kind of trusting you to give me feedback on the sound configuration. Alright, let's get the ATIS. I couldn't hear this at all yesterday. Let's see if it's any better now.
Eastern Oregon Regional at Pendleton
I hear that fine.
Golf. 1500 Zulu weather. Wind 150 at 8. Visibility more than 10. Sky clear. Temperature 11. Dew point 3. Altimeter 3025. Arriving runway 25.
3025.
Runway 25. Advise on initial contact. You have golf.
Okay. Now something I played with yesterday is oops, my patch there came undone. I guess I have to get some more tape. That'll probably happen again before we're done. One thing I did is I coded this to be a volume control for COM 1. Let's turn it down and switch and see if we hear the difference.
Eastern Oregon Regional at Pendleton Information.
Not really.
Golf. 1500 Zulu weather. Wind 150 at 8. Visibility. Eastern Oregon Regional at Pendleton.
So maybe that's not working the way I would think. That's working though. Okay. One thing I can do is I can test that by looking in SPAD next. Look at the FIP. And, you know, no, we're sort of breaking immersion here, but I want to have a chance to be this a tutorial also. So I've assigned in SPAD next for this to increment COM 1 volume by 0.1. It's usually set from 0 to 1. If I edit that event, it'll tell me what it's reading right now. Change data value. And I can type in COM 1 here. And audio volume COM 1. 0 and 1 is the max. So what I'll do is I'll turn this and see if that changes it. Yeah, now it's negative. But it seems to me that
Eastern Oregon
it's not making a difference.
Pendleton Information Golf. 1500 Zulu weather. Wind 150 at 8.
All right. Well, we'll have to figure that out.
More than 10. Sky clear.
Key thing is I can hear him.
3.
Okay, let's see. Hello, Jet. Good to see you.
Arriving runway 25. Departing
Yeah,
runway 25.
and it may be because this Mooney is running its own audio system that it's not working. But at least for the default Cessna, I've been able to tune this, and it works for PilotEdge too usually. So, okay, so we've got the weather there. 122.95. Let's just go ahead and plug this in case we need it. To Yakima. If it's KM. Okay. And let's make sure we've got this set to traffic. Okay. Do you think we could assign it to the audio illusion flight panel? Audio flight illusion panel. My impression, Taxi, is that this encoder isn't connected to anything. If it is, then I believe there is a way for you to hard code these. I would love to have this be coded to the volume, but I don't think it's connected. So I know people haven't had the best luck. I know you have the same set, but you might ask them. And if the volume control on the the audio panel is connected, and we can encode it. I'd assume we could assign that to the right variable and make it work. Okay, so we're flying to Yakima. That's the plan. Everything's looking good here. Beacon is on, fuel pump is off. We've got good weather. Weather is 150 at 8. That means we're going to go off on 1-1. So let's get our heading bug set to 1-1. With the remote flight, I can turn the heading bug with this, but I've just assigned one of these rotary encoders to it. It's just easier for me. And I've got a little Fly with Lewis script that I have that allows it to read that. Same thing with these. You can, in SpadNext, you can configure these to move the VOR on the OBS heading, but it's slow, and so I found a script that actually speeds up the pace of that a little bit. Tends to work pretty well. Digital flight, good to see you. Okay, so we're going to be going off runway 11. Control checks, that goes up, that goes down, that goes up, that goes down. Let's presume our elevator is going up and down and our rudders are working. We've got our radios set. We're just going to fly. Let's do VOR. Let's do VOR to Yakima, actually. Let's clear this flight plan. All right, let's clear our direct. And let's fly out of there. We're going to fly in on a, looks like a 290 heading. And the VOR up at there at Yakima is, we'll fly out. We'll fly 290 away from from Pendleton VOR. That's 114.7. You can never have enough practice tracking a needle. And we're going to fly out on 290. We're right next to the VOR, so that doesn't surprise me that that is not moving the needle very well, but 290 is the radial we're going to want out of here. And we're only 3 miles away from the VOR. And then we'll pick up the VOR at Yakima, which is Yakima, 116.0. We'll be ready for that. Okay, we've got the weather. We're on our CTAF frequency. We are spooled up. Radios are set. Everything's ready to go. We're going on F11. We'll make our call. Make sure we're on 112.95. And we are. And what do we call this? Eastern Oregon or Pendleton? Let's see what it says. We call it Eastern Oregon. Looks like we can call it either. Eastern Oregon traffic ovation 15 Julia Golf taxiing from GA to 11 Eastern Oregon. We're going to have to back taxi down 11, so there's no taxiway there, so we'll have to be ready for that. And brakes off. I turned on hyper-threading yesterday. I had it off for a while, and I just want to see if I get better performance with it. And so far, performance has been pretty smooth. I think having more virtual cores makes it easier for the other stuff running on the PC to run. It doesn't constrain the other things that could grind it to a halt quite as much. I haven't flown the F-33 taxi, so I don't know. I know that the REP packages are great. I like this Ovation. I like it better in VR, but I have the AFM one also, and I'm waiting for it to upgrade its textures. I almost reconfigured this to fly in that today, but I decided not to at the last minute. I just didn't want to take the time to mess with the settings. Okay, let's just tell them we're crossing 07. Eastern Oregon traffic ovation 15 Julie Golf, crossing 07, back taxiing down 11, Eastern Oregon. But I'm getting 40 frames right now. I'm using 3 FJPS, but I've got it set to high quality settings, and it's working fine. Of course, we've got no clouds. Okay, let's get our way down runway 11. See how this looks on the stream. Looks like things are looking pretty good on the stream. Looks like our camera alignment is pretty good. Not quite perfect on the right-hand side. Pretty good on the left. It's hard to get it just right, but close enough. If I'm not careful, I obsess about that stuff, and I spend a lot of time just trying to get the camera lined up and not flying. Oh look, we've got a little run-up area over here. Okay, feet on the brakes, throttle up 2,000. Magnetos. That looks good. Fuel pump is good. While we're here, let's adjust our richness. Checking our EGT. Get us up to max horsepower. Watching our RPM gauge here for it to peak. That right there. Okay, mixture is set. Throttle back. Landing lights on, nav on, strobe on. Oops. There we go. Yeah, it is nice weather today. Morning, TJ. Good to see you. All right, final controls checks. Up, down, left, right. Everything looks good. 1 notch. All right, let's go. Eastern Oregon traffic ovation 15 Julie Golf, taxiing departing 1-1. Going to be making downwind departure to the northwest, Eastern Oregon. Okay, and we're going to want to fly an intercept heading of 290 on the way out, so let's get our heading bug set for that. Well, we can do that in a minute. We've got it on the VOR anyway. No one's coming. Yeah, I downloaded the new sky textures from one of the ones available on the .org, and I really like how they look better than the defaults. One of the only reasons I was using XEnviro was for that. Okay, throttle up, full power, engine instruments are green. Let's go. RPM is expected. Engine instruments on the green. Airspeed is alive. We're on the center line. Rotation speed. I still have that loud environmental noise. So loud. Can't stand it. Seems to be unrelated to the external volume. Maybe I just need to turn that stuff up for me and then go into the Windows settings for OBS and turn the desktop audio down for you guys so it's not too loud, and then change my mixture here. I just don't know if I can hear the radio with that. No, not really. Test that again in a second. Eastern Oregon traffic ovation 15 Julie Golf, turning left downwind or left crosswind 11. Eastern Oregon. Let's try it really quickly in these settings and see if it makes a difference. I'm Trying to figure out what's driving that noise. Aircraft interior, maybe? Yeah, it was the aircraft interior. Okay, if you guys give me a radio check on the sound, that would be awesome. Gear up. There's the aircraft interior noise. I turned it down and it's a lot better now.
Eastern Oregon Regional at
I can hear that.
Information Hotel.
That's good.
1500.
Okay, good. We seem to have fixed that. Here's the airport. You guys can't quite see it. Eastern Oregon traffic Ovation 15 Juliet Golf turning downwind, 11 departing to the northwest. Final call, Eastern Oregon. Okay, flaps up. Okay, well that's better. I can hear some engine noise. I can still hear you guys. All right, we may have fixed the problem. Really smooth performance. The new 3J FPS also modifies your anti-aliasing depending on what settings you've got to make it a little easier to modify your system. It'll also adjust shadows. So I'm actually running with shadows on, and I'm hoping it can just turn them off on the fly if it hurts performance too much. Okay, we're going to fly up at 6,500 feet, or 4,500 feet, actually. It's a short hop. Let's find our postage stamp so we can be listening to air traffic control. It's like our closest one. Actually, if I go to Pendleton's radio, it'll probably tell me what the closest clearance is. The clearance. Chinook departure, Seattle Center 132.6. Okay, 4,500 feet, level her out. Let's go intercept our radial. We're going to fly about 290 out of here. Yeah, I did, Jet. I got it figured out. It was a bad Wi-Fi connection. The thing wasn't getting appropriate Wi-Fi input. So I set up my, okay, hold, let me get configured for cruise here. Let's throttle back to 24. And let's take the mixture so it's just rich of peak.
Sky 34, Eddie's Monterey ground, wind
Mr. Smith, controlling tonight.
3001, runway 28 left. Taxi via Alpha.
So I'm just checking my EGT gauge. It's analog, but I'm just looking for where it seems to peak. And then I'm just going to enrich it a little bit from there. Usually about like that. Okay. We're just off the Yakima VOR. Let's get advisories. Where are we going? We're going to Yankee. Kilo Mike. We're just off the Pendleton VOR. I don't know why this isn't giving me a needle yet. Uh-oh. Hope we didn't just confuse it too much. We might have. Everything's grinding to a halt. Interesting. And I gave it too much input all at once. Lou is still working. All right, well, we'll just make a call here. Seattle Center, Ovation 15, Juliet Golf, VFR request.
Ovation 15, Juliet Golf, Seattle Center, Squawk 5425, say location and request.
Squawking 5425, just off Pendleton VOR, request is flight following to Yakima, that's Yankee Kilo Mike at 4,500.
Number 5, Juliet Golf, verify squawking 5425.
5425, 15 Juliet Golf. A little slistexic there.
Number 5, Juliet Golf, straight to contact 27 miles southeast of the Tri-Cities Airport. You should contact Chinook approach 128.75, you're actually in aerospace.
Go to Chinook on 28.75, 15 Juliet Golf. Yeah, that's what the chart said. I didn't believe it. It shows me. Chinook approach, Ovation 15 Juliet Golf is 4,500.
21.5 Juliet Golf, Chinook approach, Tri-Cities altimeter tree 026.
26, 15 Juliet Golf. Okay. So for those who don't fly on PilotEdge, that is Keith Smith. He is the owner and founder of the service. He's done a huge amount actually for the simulation community. I don't think people realize what he's done to create a service that is flight ready for real pilots to be able to use, and that there's our 290 radial. Just a little to this side of it apparently. But to create a service that is fully capable for real world pilots, and that one can use as a simulator to learn real world, not only just real world air traffic control procedures, but by learning real world air traffic, it forces you to learn real world airspace. And you know, for me, my simulation experience before I started to learn how to fly was, you know, amazed at how great the graphics were and amazed at how much fun it was. I bet that's the, what is that? That's Lake Umatilla out there. But I really didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I didn't know how to fly a pattern. I didn't know, I mean, I'd look at a VFR chart.
3486, Monterey Tower, good morning, runway 28 left, cleared for takeoff.
I'd look at a VFR chart and it would confuse the heck out of me. You know, all these lines and circles and, you know, I don't know, you know, when do you call ground, when do you call clearance, when do you, any of that stuff. And PilotEdge really teaches you all how to do that, and all that education is free. I mean, you pay.
Juliet Golf, how are you planning on navigating to Yakima?
We're flying VOR.
Okay, are you going to be on that heading for a while, or are you going to be turning towards Yakima? I'm just trying to work out whether I'm going to send you off to the center or over to the next approach.
No, I'm just intercepting the needle, so I'm actually turning to the heading now. 15 Juliet Golf.
Okay, thanks.
He was wondering where I was going. Keith asks pointed questions. It's one of the things I like about him. It's like he saw me heading due south or due west, and so there's another section coming up, and he was wondering where he was going to be handing me off to, but I was just trying to chase my needle. But anyway, so you know, it really forces you to learn, you know, what you're doing, and there's a huge number of videos and flight training programs and rating programs and stuff on PilotEdge, which are all just included with the service, which really is, I would say, almost a flight school quality education in how all this stuff works. So if you are a simmer and you don't think you're ever going to fly real world, but you want to learn how things really work and bring a lot of realism to what you do, I don't think there's any better service in the world than PilotEdge to be able to do that. And you know, flying on PilotEdge made it real enough for me and made me appreciate the attention it requires and the detail it requires to do it right, that actually gave me the confidence to try flight training. So I've told Keith before, you know, I probably wouldn't be doing real world flight training if I hadn't signed up for PilotEdge. Okay, let's see. Yeah, he's a great guy. Okay, am I going to Vegas is one of the questions I got. Nope, sorry, I'm not. I've got to work all week, and so I won't be going to Vegas. And I have to work on I will be working all week, and I need to spend the weekend at home, so I won't be making that trip, I'm sorry to say. I've never been to a flight sim con. I've always wanted to go. Yeah, the cross country's out of the way. I've got one more I got to do. It's been on total hold jet for a month. The fact of the matter is that I had 2 weeks where I really didn't have any travel for work, where I was hoping I could do that flight training. The 1 week, the airplane was in the shop the whole week and had a problem with the flaps. And then
3486 contact NorCal departure.
And then the other week, it rained all week. And then the 2 weeks in between, I've been on the road traveling, so I haven't been in the airplane for almost a month. I've got 2.5 hours of cross-country time solo I need to book. There's one flight that will do that. I've already scrubbed it 3 times because of the weather or other factors. And then I've got night work, and the night lessons have all scrubbed either because of weather or because the airplane was broken. So I'm in a little bit of a holding pattern right now on the real-world training, but I'm hoping that by the end of July, I will have gotten it all done. At least that's what I'm hopeful for.
Sky 3046, negative, climb and maintain 15,000, 15,000. Thank you.
Well, the audio for me is dialed in here pretty good. I had to turn down the interior sounds. I wonder if that makes... Yeah, some of the switch sounds are quieter, but I don't hear nearly as much wind noise. And that's good. And I can hear the motor better, which is good. My butt kicker isn't on for some reason. Let's turn it on. Get a little butt kicker going. Come on. There we go. I've got that going for us, which is nice. Okay, this heading seems to be holding my needle pretty well. We've got a little bit of a crosswind. Ortho scenery is looking great. Performance is awesome. I'm excited to see how this all runs in VR now that I've got hyper-threading on.
Sky 3486, verify you're climbing to 15,000. You seem to have leveled off at 1,600.
Yeah, taxi, I find that...
3046, say heading.
I mean, heading, say heading, heading! Sorry.
Okay, I show you heading to the northeast, so can you say heading one more time? Did you say you're on a 300 heading northwest?
Yeah. So the, I find in terms of being ready to run the airplane and saturation and things like that, sim time definitely helps. I think VR actually helps better than the 3D cockpit in terms of keeping some flying skills. But you know, if I'm letting this for a week, I feel rusty right away. Even just coming in and doing things like flying the pattern in this. So I think there's
steady 486. Your transmission stopped. You said correction and you stopped.
definitely merit to keep your there's merit in keeping your flying brain alive through things like PilotEdge. And having to listen to and talk to the radio is just, I mean, the one more realistic thing about it.
Skywest 3486, NorCal departure.
Okay, it's not too early to be thinking about Yakima descent. Yakima is at
Skywest 3486. Okay, do you have the Monterey 4 chart?
ATIS of 125.25. And we're going to go to, I might as well write down ground, tower, and ground while I'm at it. And we are going to
yes, 3486, you're below my minimum vectoring altitude.
Pattern altitude of 2,100 feet.
And you're about 90 degrees off course. Can you maintain VFR?
Okay. And he's going to ask us where we're going, so let's look at the chart real quick. And depending on where he has us land, we'll go to West Ramp parking.
Well, if you're not able to respond to fairly basic questions. Are you in visual conditions? Can you maintain VFR?
So what you're hearing right now is, you know, evidence that PE is a training network. I mean, this guy is probably doing his best and trying to learn how to do this. Maybe hasn't studied. Maybe hasn't done the practice flights that PE has. You know, they've got 11 ratings for VFR flight and 11 ratings for IFR flight, each of which builds on your skills and teaches you the next skill set. And for each of those,
that was 3486. Okay, maintain VFR.
There are usually training programs online that you can watch where Keith narrates what's supposed to happen, as well as simulated flights. And so, you know, what I did is I made sure I had prepped for each CAT rating before I did it.
3486, I would suggest briefing the departure in a little bit more detail. You should have been on about a 329 heading. That's northwest, so you were 90 degrees off course. The departure calls for you to fly over the water, and then I will turn you towards Surfer. Instead, you turned northeast. You were 90 degrees off course.
And Keith is helping them out, and they'll help you out. But eventually, they go, "Look, you need to get more skills before you do the network." Tipa, good to see you. Have a great time with dinner. Thanks. My pleasure. And again, congratulations on that beautiful cockpit you've made. Okay, so 2,000 feet, we're at 4,500. We have to lose 2,500 feet. So that's going to take us 5 minutes. We don't have estimated route. We might as well go ahead and put it in, but the bottom line is 5 minutes at this speed would be about maybe 12 or 13 miles. Yeah. So that'll tell us when we're 5 minutes inbound. We'll make it 7, so we're at pattern altitude before we hit the pattern. Hey Keegan, good to see you. I just saw your comment. We are flying from Pendleton, Oregon to Yakima, Washington.
Skywest 3486, is there a reason that you're unable to climb?
I don't think he knows to climb, Keith. I think that's the problem. We're doing a ground speed of 152 knots.
Okay, do you want to return Monterey or do you want to keep going? I'm a little confused as to what the plan is now.
If I sit back, you guys can see the controls a little better.
Skywest 3486, are you able to climb? Skywest 3486, climb and maintain 15,000.
Now that's a little off because that's going straight to Yakima. We're actually flying to the VOR.
Skywest 3486, you keep saying 5,000. It's 15,000, 15,000, which is the altitude that you filed for.
Looks like we've got a change of tiles here in our ortho scenery. Depending on when the imagery was taken, you can see sort of this transition from a darker set of ortho scenery to a lighter set of ortho scenery. One was possibly imagery that was made in the summer and the other one in the winter. Coming up to I-82, little town of Prosser, I can see down there. There's actually a ridge line here in the real world. I can actually see it really well on the...
Skies 3046, you're still below the minimum vectoring altitude. Just maintain VFR and clear direct surfing.
There's the Yakima River down there. So that's not actually a tile change. That's actually a real change in the scenery. It goes from this high flat, this farmland down this plateau, and it changes in the real world. That's cool. Okay, so I had the question about this before. The six-pack was a disaster, and it was because of a poor Wi-Fi connection. It just wasn't pulling down data fast enough from the network in the house. So Windows 10 now has a feature where you can do automatic. By the way, that's Mount Adams out there. I'll turn a little bit so you guys can see it. Right there, Mount Adams. That's 12,120 feet. But I was able to, somebody here on this airport that they made, put a little airplane as part of their scenery. That would be Sunnyside Airport. I can see the traffic down there, but it's not real traffic. It's placed scenery traffic. So you can now in Windows 10 pretty quickly or easily in most machines create a hotspot. So I created a Wi-Fi network from the PC that's actually running the sim and have connected it to that, and it's been rock solid. Yeah, so we just flew over Prosser, S40. We just flew directly over that strip. We're 30 miles and 15 minutes inbound now to Yakima. Everything looks good. It's been about
3486. Maintain.
Let's switch our tanks. Fuel pump.
Climb and maintain 15,000.
Going to right. Positive fuel flow. Pump off.
Number 5 Juliet Golf, contact Chinook approach 123.8.
Chinook approach on 123.8, 15 Juliet Golf. Chinook approach, ovation 15 Juliet Golf, 4,600.
Elevation 15 Juliet Golf, Chinook approach, Yakima wind 290 at 5, weather's better than 5 and 5, altimeter 3025, advising we have the field in sight.
3025, advising we have the field, 15 Juliet Golf. Okay. You don't need to read back the weather. It's usually a good idea to read back the altimeter because they're checking to make sure that their altitude equipment is calibrated with yours. But you don't need to read back the winds. A lot of time in the real world I'll hear guys saying thank you for the weather, which is courteous. Keith's style is he wants your calls as brief as humanly possible. So I have no bullshit usually with him, or BS. Oops, I think that's one of the first times I've cursed on the stream. I must be feeling relaxed. Apologies for that, if there are any kids watching. or parents watching with their children. But he likes you to be direct and not mince words. So I go ahead and repeat the altimeter, but not the weather. Okay, so we got to be looking for Yakima. And again, we want to start our descent. We're going to need about 5 minutes to descend. So when we're about 7 minutes out, we'll start that process. Now, we're flying to that VOR, which is slightly off the heading of the field. Winds are 290 at 5. We can anticipate then we're going to land on 27. He'll probably give us straight in. So the fact of the matter is that the VOR gives us a pretty good angle for that anyway. Yeah, 13 minutes. I might as well dial in tower because that's probably going to be next. That's 133.25. Actually, we need to get the ATIS, which is 125.25. I'll do that at about 15 miles. Maybe 20. Then we'll switch over to tower. Over the town of Sunnyside. The field's going to be right in front of us in a little, probably at about 11:30. Huge Laho. I don't know how to pronounce your name correctly. I'm curious where you're from, if you're listening. I'm always trying to figure out where you're from. All right, we just flew over the highway there, I-82. I can see it.
2150 Reno clearance. Good morning, cleared to San Francisco Airport. Zephyr 6 departure. Millet transition, then is filed.
See if Yakima has an ATIS frequency or an AWAS frequency. Yeah, it's got an ATIS.
Squawk 5252.
All right, so we'll ask to switch over and get the ATIS. What are we talking about? We're talking to Chinook approach, right? Wait for that guy to make his call.
That's 2150, read that correct.
Chinook approach, 15 Julie Golf would like to get the ATIS.
Number 5, Juliet Golf, that's approved. Advise when you're back.
Wilco, 15 Julie Golf.
Yakima Air Terminal / McAllister Field Information Hotel. 1500 Zulu weather. Wind light and variable. Visibility more than 10. Sky clear. Temperature 13, dew point 7. Altimeter 3025. Arriving runway 27. Departing runway 27. Advise on initial contact you have hotel.
Okay, so we're back on Chinook approach. Tower frequency is going to be next. That's 133.25. Let's just be ready for that. Chinook approach, 15 Julie Golf, back on frequency.
15 Juliet Golf, roger. Skywest 3486, contact Oakland Center 128.7.
Thanks, TJ. If I have my way, we'll have another flight today, too. I'll fly either in this or in VR to Seattle. Okay, 9 minutes. We're getting close to being ready, and he's going us to advise when we have the field. I don't quite have it yet. This highway goes right next to it. So the highway that I can see out my window here goes right by the town of Yakima, and from there is the airport. Okay, let's go direct now. Okay. So our track 286. About here. Okay, 7 minutes en route, time to start our descent. Let's throttle back. I don't have a manifold pressure gauge here, so we just have to kind of gauge it. Got the ATIS. Let's take Yakima VOR out of here so we're flying direct. Okay. I'm looking for the field. I do not see it. I see these little hills. I see the towns. I don't quite have the airport yet. Three point 025. There we go. Trim the airplane so that we can slow down a little bit. We're still 17 miles out. I can't quite see that far. Yeah, 2,000 feet can be pattern altitude.
So 3486 Oakland Center, the Monterey altimeter.
We've got some terrain here in front of us, but we should be all right with that. Still looking for the field. Still not seeing it. We have a problem right now. We're making for one of these fields. Okay, we're going past Toppenish. Okay. We are looking for the airport. Got some terrain here I want to stay away from. Looking. Looks like we have to go over that little here. I see that tower, 2,200 feet. We're going to hold it right here at 28 for a minute. In fact, I'm going to go up to 3. Frozen. Stream's frozen? Does seem frozen, doesn't it? Let's fix that. I don't know what that's about. Okay, we're back. Not quite sure why that happened. Looks like we're back. We're going to just get over these hills and then we'll tell them that we have the field. Yeah, so that's twice that's happened with that freeze. I think it's something to do with the driver. Before it would just crash. Now it's not crashing, it just freezes. If I reboot OBS and turn the camera on and off again, it seems to fix it. Over this little hill and then we should have the field. Okay. All right, now I've got the field. Approach 15 Juliet Golf has field.
Elevation 5 Juliet Golf, thanks. Contact Yakima Tower 133.25.
Yakima Tower on 33.25, 15 Juliet Golf. Always listen to hear if you got it wrong. Once you switch frequencies, give a second for them to clear. Yakima Tower, Ovation 15 Juliet Golf is 2,800.
15 Juliet Golf. Yakima Tower, report a 3 mile straight on runway 27.
Report 3 miles straight in, 27, 15 Julie Golf. Okay.
Reno ground, good morning. Horizon 2150, coming out the terminal ramp here, taxi Delta.
Horizon 2150, Reno ground, running runway 16 right, taxi via Alpha.
Okay, that shows me 270, which is my direct in. Not worried about terrain anymore. Report 3 miles. Get over this hill. And then we'll start coming in. See the field right up there. I got it. Again, our pattern altitude is 2,100 feet, so we're not very high above that. We'll get over this hill. We're probably a little skinnier here on altitude than we should be. You couldn't really see from the terrain on the map. Okay, let's get ready for ground next while we're at it. That's going to be 121.9. And our wind, if we remember, was light and variable in this. Okay, I've got the field. Okay, sterile cockpit. We're going to fly the airplane. I'll get back to the chat in a second.
Contact Los Angeles Center 135.5.
I'm just going to fly this particular altitude about 2,200 feet till we intercept the localizer. Heading is going to be 270 on the runway.
Reno Tower, coming in Horizon 2150, 16 right, departure.
Horizon 2050, Reno Tower. Hello there, runway 16 right, cleared for takeoff, wind calm.
To go 16 right, Horizon 2150.
Okay. Only doing 94 knots of ground speed. Got a headwind. Four miles. Okay, make sure you're set, gear down, coming onto our glide slope, prop is full, gas is on fullest tank, make sure it's where it should be, lining up 3 miles. Yakima Tower, 15 Julie Golf, 3 miles, 27.
25 Julie Golf, runway 27, cleared land.
Cleared to land 27, 15 Julie Golf. I should be saying Mooney, 15 Julie Golf, but so be it. Okay, 1 notch. Gear should be down. I don't know why it's giving me that. It's telling me the gear are down. Huh. Maybe we're flying that whole way with our gear up. Wouldn't that be interesting? Okay, when we get there, we're going to go to the north ramp. There's our little ground effect. Full flaps. A little slow. There we go. Not having my manifold pressure makes this harder for me. Stabilized all the way down to the ground. Here we go. Really don't think we hopped quite that much, but so be it. Back on the yoke, flaps up. All right, well that was pretty good. Not like that crazy landing yesterday, all that wind.
Horizon 2150, contact NorCal departure.
And Horizon 2150,
Trim up.
We're not flying. The good thing is we got here a couple minutes before the paramedics at the scene of the crash.
Horizon 2150, yep, seeing that, I realize now that contacting NorCal departure may be fruitless.
Yeah, it's not gonna go so well for us. So we're gonna try to reset, figure out what got borked here.
Yakima Tower, November 15, Julia Golf, clear of 27, straight ahead.
November 5 Julia Golf, taxi straight ahead to the right.
Straight ahead, 15 Julia Golf. This is a nice little airport that somebody's done here. We've got animated vehicles. Okay, so the Mooney is now in Yakima, Washington, which is exciting given that we started in Half Moon Bay, flew all the way to Salt Lake City and Denver, all the way down to Amarillo, Texas, down to the far south, very furthest southeast part of the PilotEdge service territory, then up to El Paso, then over to Page, Utah, then back up to Salt Lake City again, then up to Boise, and then back over here to Yakima, and Seattle is next. Bravo airspace time. We'll put in the virtual chocks here. Disconnect from PilotEdge.
Disconnected.
Flaps are up. Trim is back to neutral. We'll turn off the avionics. Beacon. Mixture back. Master. Alternator. Keys off. Okay, well that went pretty well. Great performance, and hey Hurricane, we're just finishing up. Later today, I'm going to try to fly to Seattle if I've got the time. Probably around 3:30, 4 o'clock Eastern, and I may do it in VR. I may do it in this. This has actually been kind of fun, being in the physical cockpit again. So I may just fly it that way, and get into Seattle and see what kind of performance we get. With that environment, that airport. In the meantime, we'll put in the chocks and be ready to go here on the next flight. See if there's any other questions. No, it looks like we're good. Yeah, I'm not quite sure why the screen is frozen. That's happened twice now. At least it's not crashing. Before it was crashing. So I'll take being frozen. As long as you guys alert me, I can go in there and quickly start streaming again and reboot it. And that's what we got. So we're in Yakima, next stop Seattle, and as always, thanks for watching on the glide slope.